Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is Jacob Litton. One of us has a heating pad on their back. It's not the old man. It is the young man because he had his appendix out in case you missed the last episode. So if he says anything real weird, like weirder than normal, it's because he's on Norco right now.
I'm still at the top of my game. I'm in the prime of life.
I know when we get to, we'll get to keys to victory. If you say something real weird, I'll just correct you. All right.
Fair enough. We'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll be good. We look to get back on track this week, right, Jacob? I mean, so it's really, really weird, like, narrative that I think that's going around, like, Eagles fans puffing up their chest. They're, like, super excited. We dominated you. They won by a touchdown. Our defense arguably played just as well as their defense. Like, it's a matter of just one score, right? And I'd argue that it was, some of Dan Campbell's doing. So we're not that far off. The narrative has just changed. Our defense is a championship defense. It's just surprisingly, it's our offense that's kind of holding us back at some point. So we'll look to get that back on track this week against the Giants. This is the defense to do it on. So I expect some fun and fireworks in this game.
It's been weird for me. I don't know if you've noticed, but every loss that we've had this year, all of a sudden the opposing fan base has been so loud right afterward. And also, I mean, something about beating us just makes these teams feel like, hey, you know what? We're on the fast track to a Super Bowl win now. Obviously, at the Packers in week 1, that was kind of different. But I mean, even when we lost the Chiefs, like the national narrative all of a sudden were that the Chiefs were back and they were going to be number 1 in these power rankings and stuff like that. At the same time as, they're kind of crapping on us for losing that game. Then we fall to the Vikings. We had all those Vikings fans in our chat. It's just in our face the whole time, just about, they kind of thought they were going to make a run at the division, and then they come and lose the Bears. And now here we go. The Eagles, I think, were the best team, that we've played, that we've lost to. And that was a winnable game for us. We didn't perform the way that we should have. We lost that game. And of course, Eagles fans are never one to be quiet. So they're loud, and I guess kind of deservingly so. But you're right. They're, we've kind of exposed them a little bit too. They're not unbeatable. And it's been that kind of year. Nobody's unbeatable. It's any given Sunday. So we'll let them have their moment in the spotlight again. They're still riding high on top. And we're moving on to the Giants, where we hope to take out all of our frustrations at home against New York.
Nothing like getting right when you've got the Giants coming to town. That's at least the plan going in. Before we move on, make sure you follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel out. The more you like the content, the more chance it gets out to another Lions fan just like you and us. Jacob, not many transactions going on. Just one here. You want to go through that?
Just one, but it's a big one, right? It's a noteworthy. We did activate linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez from the PUP list. Rodrigo is back. Yep. Obviously, the linebackers have been playing really well, so it's not like we really, it's not that we really necessarily needed him get it back as soon as possible, but huge news. He's a huge upgrade, especially his ability to play on special teams. And, just in spot snaps on the defense, he's a huge get. He's a good player, good part of our team, and I'm very excited to have Rodrigo back.
Yeah, I am super excited about it too. I think Dorsey's clock is going to start tomorrow. Probably they had a walkthrough practice today, so we'll see tomorrow. Dan Campbell kind of said that Dorsey's clock's going to start soon. So I wonder how many snaps Malcolm will get this weekend. I don't know how much on defense, but he's definitely going to be out there on special teams. And frankly, we need all our best players on the special teams. We need to have some results. We could have used them last week, just springboard our offense a little bit, but I'm happy that Rodrigo's back for sure.
Absolutely. Real quick, I got something before we move on. I like to do this from time to time and not really let Jason know, but just a quick little historical recap. So I don't know how much research that you've done on this, but just, to brief us on the Lions versus Giants, because we don't really have too many matchups with them, right? There's not too much of a history or a rivalry with the Giants, but the Lions have won 4 out of the last 5 matchups against New York. If you had to guess, what year do you think was the last time the Giants beat us?
The last time the Giants beat us. Wow. I don't know. I'd be totally guessing, but I'm gonna say 12.
So it was close. It was 2016. It's funny to
Okay.
look at because, it feels like because of the way the Lions have been that most of the teams have the advantage against us. So when you look up against the Giants and see that we've won 4 out of the last 5, you're like, okay. The last win from the Giants was in week 15 of the 2016 season. So this was Eli Manning versus Matthew Stafford. I could ask you to guess the leading rusher, but I would be very surprised if you pulled either of these. So the leading rusher for the Lions was Dwayne Washington, 14 carries for 31 yards. I did not think you were going to be able to guess
maybe
that.
Maybe got the yardage more than the player,
yes.
to be honest with you.
Also noteworthy, Zach Zenner had 12 yards rushing. I know you remember Zach Zenner.
Zach Zenner, yes. Dr. Zach Zenner, yeah.
The Giants' leading rusher actually in this game was Paul Perkins. I don't know if you remember him or if you heard that name, but Odell Beckham did catch a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to seal it for the Giants.
Okay. Heard that guy. Got that
you heard
one.
of that one. You did hear our rookie offensive tackle that game was Taylor Decker. So he actually, was around the last time the Giants beat us. So, yep, he was a rookie. He started. Just wanted to throw that out there. Lions have had some success against the Giants, albeit in a short. We don't play them multiple times a year.
No, that's good. And Dan Campbell's kind of getting a little homecoming. Playing on the Giants. I don't think he is as connected. I don't know if he feels as connected with them as like the Dallas because he's from Texas area or whatever. But I'm sure that there is some fondness to that organization for sure.
Right.
All right, Jacob. Let's talk main threats. We're going to start with the offense here. Kind of a shorter list. We went from last week with the Eagles where we were filling up the page. I was scrambling for names in this one. So 2 of these are offensive linemen. So you got tackle Andrew Thomas, comes in rated 5th out of 76. You have, I don't know how to, is it
It's
Easton?
a typo. It's a typo. It's Austin.
Is it Austin? Okay. It is a typo. Austin Schlaman. I copy and pasted it, so it must be on their website that it's
okay. Could have been.
Yeah. So Austin Schlaman, 17 out of 37. Jackson Dart is the 18th rate quarterback out of 39. We don't know if he's going to play this game. Still have concussion. He was limited practice today when we get to that. We'll see. But the only other player that I'm going to mention on their offense that he can't play because he's out for the season is Malik Neighbors. And the only reason I'm going to mention him is because he made it the NFL top 100 at number 67. Yeah, it's, this offense.
Remember, Malik got in a fight with the Lions in training camp as well.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he won't be there, throwing punches. We've had enough punches thrown on our team lately. We don't need any of that. We don't need anybody getting spit on. People get suspended for that,
Right. Deservedly so.
Yep. All right, Jacob. Why don't you go through our defensive main threats that we got to face here?
All right. So the defense for the Giants has been struggling, but they do have some noteworthy players. They do have some threatening players on defense, particularly on the line. So defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence, Pro Football Focus has him rated number 17 out of 124 defensive linemen. He actually was the number 17 player on the NFL Top 100. Definitely noteworthy. He plays defensive tackle. Kind of the struggles that we've been having sometimes on the interior. So that's the biggest one on there, followed by edge Brian Burns. So he's rated number 25 on Pro Football Focus out of 117. The other edge defenders that they have, the rookie Abdul Carter is rated number 46, and then Kayvon Thibodeau is rated number 55. So a lot of threats they have on the defensive line. I know Thibodeau is injured. We're not sure about his status. Carter is still a rookie. The other main threat that they have on defense is a cornerback, Cordell Flott, who's rated number 26 out of 108 on Pro Football Focus. So, threats on the defensive line, not so much with the linebackers or the secondary.
When we mentioned a couple of the injuries. Their list is extensive, just like our list. When it starts getting to 2 pages, then we're, you get into, scary territory. So they have a full list of did not practice. And Kayvon Thibodeau, who you mentioned earlier, shoulder injury, did not practice. Darius Slayton, wide receiver, did not practice with a hamstring. They got a couple cornerbacks. One, Cordell Flott, who we just talked about. That was a personal reason, so he's probably going to be in for the game. Rico Payton is another injured corner they have. His is an illness, so we'll see how that progresses. Thomas Fidone, tight end, did not practice, and Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, linebacker, also did not practice. And as far as limited practice, they had Deontay Banks, their first round pick from last year, or not, a couple years ago. Hip injury. Jackson Dart did practice today, concussion. If he doesn't go, then it'd be Jameis Winston most likely that we'd face. Chauncey Golston, neck injury, limited practice. That's the defensive line. Safety, Tyler Nubin, limited practice. Raheem Nunez Roche, limited practice. And then they have a running back listed, but he had full practice with a knee. And just so you guys, everybody's up, Cam Scatterbo is out. Evan Neal, their offensive lineman, is on the IR. Malik Neighbors and their kicker, Graham Gano. So they keep going through kickers over there in New York. Jacob, go through our scary lists of Lions players that are on the practice report. This is another long list, 2-pager.
Right. Week after week, you got to go through this. So this is the practice report as of Wednesday. Hopefully we get some more clarity and some things change as the week goes on. But as of Wednesday, this is the information that we have available. Players not practicing. You may not like to hear this. So Terrion Arnold still not practicing with a concussion. Brian Branch with a toe injury did not practice. Kirby Joseph still battling the knee injury. And then you've got Taylor Decker with a shoulder, Penei Sewell with the ankle. All of those players did not practice. These are all obviously high-level starters that we'd like to have. With that being said, Taylor usually does not practice the first day of the week. Kirby's been out. Terrion's been out. So hope to have some more clarity soon. As far as limited practices go, Edge Marcus Davenport is still practicing in a limited capacity. Graham Glasgow has a knee injury, so he got a limited practice. Josh Pascal with the back injury, limited. Tate Ratledge, knee injury, limited practice. Not what you want for all of your starting offensive linemen to be listed on this practice report, especially when we've been having struggles anyway.
Yes.
Wrapping up the limited practices, cornerback DJ Reed, wide receiver Isaac Taslaw, running back Sione Vaki, and then tight end Brock Wright. Those were all the players that got in limited practices. A couple of them hoping to return from stints on the IR this week, so time will tell. I guess for the good news here, wrapping this up, the good news, the players that got in a full practice, running back Jacob Sailors, we already talked about Malcolm Rodriguez. Khalif Raymond showed up on the injury report with cramps, but he got in a full practice. And then the rookie, Miles Frazier, got in a full practice as well. So that's all encouraging, but, the bad outweighs the good here when you're talking about the availability of some of these guys.
Yes. I will say that they did not have an actual practice today, so these were all estimated. And Dan Campbell did say that he feels pretty good about Brian Branch's ability to play on Sunday. He was not as confident with Terrion Arnold getting out there. They did not ask him about Penei or Taylor, so my bet is that Penei is no way he's going to miss this game unless he's be like there's no way it would really hurt him to play or whatever. Taylor, we'll see. We need some offensive linemen to be healthy. Graham and Tate being limited. I didn't like seeing 4/5 of our offensive line on this injury report.
Right. The problem being that this game is on Sunday, and then we have a huge divisional game coming up on a short week on Thursday. So this week, more so than usual, you really need these guys to be at 100% if they're going to go, or as close to 100% as possible if they're going to go on Sunday. As much as we need Penei Sewell, I don't think we can let him go if he's only operating around 70% because we definitely, absolutely need him on Thursday. So that's what's going to be interesting is how we piece together this team based on the looming matchup we have with the Packers.
Yes, I agree. I mean, hopefully, we could get into a situation where we don't need them for the whole game because,
treat it like preseason.
We're feeling good. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but that would be, best case scenario. Let's get into some of the numbers before we have an interview coming up with Mike Vivalo, huge Giants fan. Guys, total New York. You guys will love that interview. But first, let's get into some of the numbers here. Giants, Lions, points per game. we are ranked 5th. That poor performance on Sunday night football really knocked us down. We were rated 2. Now we're up down to 5th, still averaging 29.2 points per game, which I'm going to take, especially when you could be the Giants rated 3rd with 21.5 points per game. As far as defense, the Giants come in the 29th ranked team. They're giving up 27.3 points per game, whereas we're at number 10 at 21.6. I will take, at the beginning of the season, if you told me that we'd be top 10 in both of those categories, I'd be okay with that. Usually that doesn't signal a 6-4 record, but it's just the way it shook out so far for us.
True.
All right, Jacob, how does offensive stats line up?
All right, breaking down the offensive stats. So in terms of total yards per game, the Lions are ranked number 5 in the NFL, 366.9 yards per game. The Giants are 15th, middle of the pack. They're at 333.2 yards per game. The breakdown is like this, though. So they actually are doing decently well at rushing. So they are 10th in the league right now. Giants average 124.7 rush yards per game, and the Lions average 130.1, which is good for 7th. So rushing offense, when you're looking at these numbers, kind of looks like they're pretty close. I will say the Giants sometimes run 30 to 40 times a game. And for a good part of the season when they had Jackson Dart, they were doing a lot of quarterback design runs and a lot of scrambles, which inflated those numbers quite a bit. And we obviously do not have Jared Goff running sweeps to the outside. We'll let you dissect that the way that you want. Passing yards per game, though, also not too far off. The Giants 208.5 yards per game, which is 19th in the league, and we are 236.8 yards per game, which is 9th in the league. So 20-yard difference, but it's also 10 teams between us as far as the standings go.
This is where there's a lot of separation when we get to the defensive stats here. So total yards per game, the Lions come top 5. We are number 5. We're allowing 291.8 yards per game, and we're feeling that, right? I mean, this defense is solid week after week. It doesn't matter who we're putting out in the secondary. It seems like they're getting their job done. So I feel confident in that. Whereas the Giants come in ranked 29th, giving up 375.1 yards per game. That's good news for the Lions. And this is even better news. Rushing yards per game, the Giants come in ranked 30th, 149 yards per game. And when we talk to Mike, that's the thing that he points out when we talk about, their defensive line is so good, but how can you be good when you're giving up, you're not making it a priority. The Lions, make run stopping a priority. It's obvious the Giants either don't or just don't have the people to do it. So they're giving up a ton of yards per game. The Lions come in ranked eighth in that category, giving up a little less than 100 yards per game. Passing yards per game, Giants defense also gives up a ton of those too, ranked 22nd in the league, 225.2 yards, whereas the Lions are under 200 yards per game, ranked number 8 in the NFL. How many years would we have killed to be ranked in the top 10 in passing yards per game? And this is also the same year where we've been devastated by injuries in the back end. And it's not like we're giving up a ton of rushing yards. Our defense is playing really well no matter who's out there. Just tells you Shep has these guys ready to play. So I feel good going into this game. We're going to have our interview with Mike Vivalo, and we will get with you guys on the flip side. I am so happy to introduce the Jimmy Fallon of sports. It is Mike Vivalo, huge Giants fan, does some reporting. He's all over the place. We're lucky to have him. The Command This guys introduced us. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, fellas. I am looking forward to talking some football, looking forward to some predictions on Sunday, and not letting it get out of hand.
Yeah. Well, I'll be at the game. I'll be at the game, Mike. It's going to be loud in there. I'm looking forward to it. But I want to do something before we get going. If you're watching on YouTube, I got these cool shirts, Grocery Stars. Mike sent us this link. It gave us these shirts. Mine is a Barry Sanders one. It's called Blueberry Sanders. So he's got an awesome business idea. We'll put the link in the description of where you can get these shirts because they're very cool. So, Mike, tell us where you got the idea and, And I know you got I know you have another Lions player. I'll let you introduce that. Before we get started with the Giants stuff, why don't you hit us with that stuff?
Amazing. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys rocking it. Many, many years ago, when the Giants drafted Saquon Barkley with the 2nd pick overall, I have a great video. It's very cute, of my son, who at the time he was very, very young, saying, "Dad, we should call Saquon Barkley Saquon Broccoli." He just said it because, when you're 6 years old, the parents are making you eat your broccoli and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's funny. And I literally have the moment he said that on video. And from then on, we kind of called Saquon Barkley Saquon Broccoli. And of course, he was great for us. And he was kind of the face of the team and the face of like my kids' like hope with the team. Saquon Barkley for years and years and years. And then during that time, I published 2 children's books, which we can also plug here. Children's books about sports. One called Goodnight Cooperstown. One called Goodnight Canton, about the baseball and the Football Hall of Fame. Anyway, as I did that, I partnered with my illustrator who illustrated the books, and slowly but surely my kids and I thought of more of these food names that kind of made sense, like Blueberry Sanders, or to speak your guys' terms, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? He's an almond, right? So we started all of these names, and we maybe got like 10 or 20 of them, and I said, hey, can you draw these? So we drew them, and we're like, what are we going to do with this, and next thing you know, we're like, all right, t-shirts is an easy one. Let's put them all on t-shirts. I work in the sports card industry, so it's like I would dream of having like a series of cards of these, but it's really fun that I did it with my kids. We've spun it to be like a healthy eating initiative. So a lot of these are fruits and veggies, luckily, because all of them have to make sense, and a lot of them do make sense for fruits and veggies. Like you could see, this is Dexter Lawrence. I'm wearing Dexter Lawrence today. He's an orange, and it looks pretty cool, right? Like it makes sense when the food matches the name. Like Blueberry Sanders is unbelievable. Barry Sanders looks like a blueberry. You know what I mean? And I hear that up in Michigan, in the area, like blueberries are a big thing up in the Michigan area, right? So like amazing, it makes sense. This is Jerome Lettuce. Like Jerome Bettis is a big fat head of lettuce. Like he's so it's really cool when art meets life, right? Whatever, like where art imitates life. So that's where we're at. It's called Grocery Stars. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about it. I think it's the next big like innovative thing in like collectibles. So I can see this being like bobbleheads and giveaways, obviously shirts and merch like that. Cards I think could be huge with like nutrition facts on them. So we got a long way to go, but it's an idea.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for the shirts. I'm going to be rocking it at Ford Field some point.
Are you?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll wear it there. So then I'm sure I'll get questions and I'll head them your way. So,
awesome.
All right, Mike. First of all, we kind of have a gripe, Jacob and I. You didn't beat the Packers or the Bears the last 2 weeks. That you failed us, man.
Not only didn't beat them, you gave us hope that you were going to beat them for most of the time. We thought it was going to happen, and then
dude, we were
also
how do you
disappointed.
think I feel? How do you think I feel about hope that things going to happen? That's our fourth quarter lead that we blew, even though they're like 1-score leads, except for that game
Broncos.
we will not, the Broncos game, which we will not make, the 33-point quarter that they had. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the theme of the Giants. Like this season is like hope, and then destroying your hope in the fourth quarter or early on, or having your star player get hurt in week 2. All these things are part of what we have come to see now in a 2-8 season. So what can I say? What are we? 2-9. I feel Eagles game was fun. Like I always want to have hope, and years and years of going around with like Giants fans saying just like, hey, tank, or that game that we won cost us Jaden Daniels, and all these little like things that you say at the end of the season. But now I'm like, screw it. Like, yes, like let's just lose. We're right now. It's season ended today. We had the 2nd pick. So I mean, what else are we really living for here? Don't play Jackson Dart. No reason to play him down the stretch here. He's already got concussions. No reason to get him more injured or whatever. You already lost Malik Neighbors. Already lost Scatterbo. Like this is a lost season, fellas. And I'm supposed to be bringing positivity for the Giants fans, but just like on the up and up Giants, this is a lost season. Only thing we could do is spoil some shit.
Not this weekend, man. Not this weekend.
Right?
All right. So you guys, the Giants have invested a ton in the defensive line. Do you think the results matched what they've invested, or would you like to have seen more from that group?
Well, let me ask you this: we're giving up the most rushing yards per carry in NFL. So what do you think? What our investment is? This guy right here, who, for the last couple of years many have claimed he's been one of the best, if not the best interior D lineman in the league, having a very invisible, very lackluster year this year. Brian Burns having a great year, got some sacks. He got like a cheap sack last week, but he's leading the league in sacks. Abdul Carter is sleeping through his game film, so he's already showing he's maybe not serious, but he's athletic, but he just needs a rookie wake up. And Thibodeau has kind of been underwhelming for his whole career with us so far. So where our strength we all thought was going to be D-line, we've given up 15 rushing touchdowns in 11 games and 5.7 yards a carry. Like, what's going on? And now we're facing the two dynamic running backs of Detroit, and it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
I
don't like seeing I like seeing the Gasper expression on your face for what it means for the Lions, but I don't like seeing it from a football fan and being there before.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, you guys think about it right here. This should be a listen. So the over under started at 45.5. It's moved out to 50.5. The line started at 8.5. It's moved out to 10.5, and that's not money coming on the Giants, right? So like everyone's seeing this for what it is. Now I think 50.5 is actually too high. So I may take the under 10.5. I would take the Lions in the under. I have like a 33-6 game, 30-10, something ridiculous like that. I don't think coming off that loss last week, that Lions loss last week, a guy like Dan Campbell is just going to just take it all. We're going to be the whipping boys out there.
Yeah.
Usually Lions it's all lose gas. 2 in a row.
Yeah, right. We don't lose back to back, so usually they're going for it. They don't let up.
At home with a fired up team, yeah.
Right. Real quick before we get too far away, just because I wanted to know. So you drafted Abdul Carter, 3rd overall. Was there somebody else that you had, watching the draft? Were you sure that it was him? Were you okay with that? Did you want to go offensive lineman? Like, where were your thoughts at the draft?
Good question. I have to kind of rethink it. I think I was okay. I was underwhelmed by the quarterbacks that were there. Once we kind of, the writing was on the wall that Cam Ward would be gone. So, I was fine with Abdul Carter. Absolutely fine. I mean, he was hurt, but didn't he have like a really bad injury as a senior year or something like that? He had a really bad. So that was like a little bit of a question mark, but I think by the time the draft came around, he was completely cleared. And then I guess in hindsight, after the pick, moving up to get Dart and then having Dart for what we all think is probably he's showing promise. Now to look back at the draft, I think that was a fine draft. Now, but Abdul Carter, he's got to wake up a little bit.
Right. I mean, it definitely seems like you guys have the pieces in place for the future. Obviously, the Malik Neighbors injury happened. The Scadaboo injury happened. So I guess just what have you seen, especially from Jackson Dart, but what have you seen from him that gives you hope for the future? And then Scadaboo, kind of a smaller sample size, but do you think he's a starting running back in the NFL?
Well, I mean, if you guys seem to be doing your research on, like, in Giants world, pretty much everyone I talked to about Scadaboo before the injury were like, oh, it's only a matter of time until he's injured. Like, it was only a matter of time. Like, there's no way he's playing even one full season this way. We all thought it was going to be a concussion or like a neck injury or something, but he still plays, reckless enough that he had a pretty devastating foot injury where he broke his whole foot. Jackson Dart, yeah. I mean, listen, you have to manipulate the pocket these days. It's really the only chance you have to extend the play. So he's doing that enough. I didn't like all these design runs, and that's a Dable staple that he kind of goes to too much. He did it to Daniel Jones, and he got him hurt a couple of years ago. I didn't like it, and it's exactly what happened. I mean, I don't think it wasn't like a gruesome injury or anything. It's just a concussion. But I'd be lying. I'm not bragging about seeing it happen, but it's like you can't have this guy design run 10, 12 times a game. He's too little. He's too light. He's not Josh Allen.
So I got to ask you a question. You said you would not want Jackson Dart to play because you don't think that there's anything to play for. But do you think that he would gain, experience just being out there that would help him in the future?
You're right. Maybe I'm being a little too overly cautious on that. But, just because we changed the coach now and everything, it's like, well, what are you going to do in weeks 15, 16, 17, 18? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to just see what you got in Jackson Dart? Like, I can actually see it more if he didn't play at all this season yet. Like if Russ was kind of healthy or if Jameis, and they were like kind of maybe he waiting on him, and they're still 2-9. It's like, all right, let's see what the rookie has now. But I'm not claiming to know what they're thinking over there because there's a lot of question marks in their coaching staff, right? So you're like, all right, we're going to keep this quarterback. It's going to be a new coach. It's going to be a new system potentially. Like, I don't know what you're going to get out of seeing him for 3 games, like the last 3 games of the season or something. When you have a perfectly, you're not winning. It doesn't matter to me. Like, and I'm looking at it like a naive fan, and like football guys are like so freaking loving. They love the game so much they eat, sleep, and breathe it that they don't even worry about what their record is. I get that too. But you gotta take some. You gotta have some precautions in it. So that's why I think just don't risk anything with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's already had. Well, this is the first concussion that he officially had, right? But he's been checked out multiple times, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and Dable went after him into the blue tent, and it just goes back. You can't run like the guy is not a monster. He's technically for the NFL undersized.
All right. So you mentioned Dable a couple of times, but now I just want to know, was firing Dable and keeping the GM the right move, and the timeline of it? Did you want to move on from Dable already before the season? Were you okay with when it happened?
Man, you hear so much. You have so much mix because you can imagine how much noise and stuff that I consume around this, right? And then like one day I'll think this, one day I'll think that. There's so many talking heads, and talking heads they're just like me. I'm a talking head, right? Like there's so many fan talking heads. There's so many podcast talking heads. There's so many people who have their own opinions, and it kind of like makes you think, and it makes you like sway back and forth on like what do you think is the right decision. I mean, it's really bad. Like these guys drafted this quarterback. Like it was their decision. It looks like a good one. So now you have to like figure out how a new coach is going to accept this quarterback, accept being in the old regime from a general management standpoint. So I think it's a bad time. I think it's a bad time to fire him. I would have, if you gun to my head, I'm saying let him play out the season and then, basically clean house. No reason to do it at 2-9 or 2-8 at the time.
Were you surprised that he made it to the season though? Like after last year, did you think that was going to be it?
No.
Okay.
I thought once they kind of retained him, once we knew we were going into the draft with that leadership, it's like, all right, let's see what you got. They gave him one more chance. They didn't want to recycle the whole thing once again for the 3rd time in 10 years. So they let him draft a QB, and here we are. So, some of I think of us as like the Jets, same sort of stupid ownership decisions that set you back. Sometimes you got to break it off clean. I don't know. Very tough situation.
Right.
Do you think that him going in, you mentioned it, him going into the concussion tent, do you think that accelerated anything like that? I mean, that cost the Giants quite a bit of money. I mean, it cost Dable money, but it cost the Giants a ton of money.
Well,
too.
this is the thing. Like, you can't also listen, you're making bonehead decisions, or your defensive coordinator is making bonehead decisions in all these games in a row that you should have won. Then and I think this happened after like Abdul Carter sleeping, but like, there's other things that are happening, like you going in a tent like that, like that doesn't look good to ownership. Like all these little, like when you're teetering, when you're in the crosshairs of anything, like if you're working at a job and you're almost gonna get fired or whatever you're gonna do. My kids are like acting fresh and they do that one little next thing, you know what I mean? I'm like, it puts me over the edge. Like, you're out of here. You get it. So like it could be just a bunch of little things over the course of many years. Yeah. So I mean, absolutely, that could be something that was considered. I don't think it's the deciding factor, but it didn't help his resume with ownership.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Real quick.
So
I don't
at
know,
this point in the season, go ahead, Jacob.
I was just going to ask about the show, the Hard Knocks, like, showing the general manager and stuff up close. Were you a fan of that?
Well,
it didn't turn out well for you guys, but I mean, just
I wasn't a fan of what ended up being the content of the thing, but yeah, of course, I mean, I've been watching Hard Knocks for 20 years, so like that shit's awesome to me. I love seeing behind the scenes. I love seeing like players' personalities and homes and girlfriends and whatever. But like, we're like, oh no, they're gonna show like how this went south with Saquon, and then like it was like really bad. So think about like the control that Mara has or doesn't have in that building, unless that was like fake or edited or not the whole conversation. That was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. And Joe Shane looks like he's playing like, fantasy football.
Yeah, right.
Like, not like, wow. It's really interesting. Really interesting to think that like guys like you and I and us, we're not that far away from being in that. We can, in a different like light. If I just went this way, I could like these guys aren't anything special.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
No, I mean, we really liked the Hard Knocks when it showed the Lions like in the training camp and everything like that. But we've talked about this before. I just feel like that's a bad move to have them inside when you're talking about the GM and you're talking about the drafting decisions and stuff, to have that kind of access. And, obviously with everything what happened, it just seems like it's going to be really easy to paint a negative light on you. And he's still, his reputation is not recovered from that.
Yeah, no, that's insane. And then not to pile on this, but like a couple months later, you paid Slayton his money. Like Darius Slayton has the same, if not more of a contract. Like crazy, like mistakes on mistakes, like just doubling down on idiotic moves. You guys know, like the Hard Knocks, like it's run by the NFL. Like teams have to do it eventually. Like you can't, right? Like they're like teams can like avoid it for just a certain amount of time, then you have to do it. I agree. I don't think anyone Giants avoided it for years back in the day. They danced around Hard Knocks forever. They just like, no way, we don't want cameras in here. And the first freaking time they get cameras in there, they look like buffoons.
That was the timing of yours was the Giants was unique because that was like the free agency period,
Right.
which they typically don't do Hard Knocks
Right.
at that time, and you could see that no one signed up for it this year. They were like, nope, not it's not a good move because like it's almost like a lose-lose situation in that case,
I completely agree. I did like, though, I mean, that's the draft, but like I love the clip of when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh,
how excited they were. That with Dan Campbell, like, and they're like, oh shit, like he's whatever, they didn't take him. They were so pumped. Like stuff like that is just so cool. And it's like, especially like if you can look back on stuff like was it Justin Jefferson too? Right? Wasn't it Justin Jefferson too? Like the clip when they passed
the Eagles passed on him, and then the Vikings,
they took
the room like blew up. They take
but they took a receiver. They take Jalen Reagor. That's
what I was thinking. Reagor or Naylor. I couldn't remember which one the name. Yeah.
And then they draft Jefferson. So shit like that's awesome. But it makes that's cool. Like when it's positive when you make the right decision. But when you show the back end of Joe Shane letting Saquon like walk for like $1 million here or there and having Matt be pissed and then having them win the Super Bowl and it's like having him have the best season of his what's going on? Like this is just cruelty.
Yeah, like it didn't look good at the time, and then the season progressed, and it kept like aged like milk. It was really bad.
Cruel intentions.
We won't bring up Daniel Jones and what's going on down there than this year.
I mean, every now and then you'll have a Daniel Jones. You won't have a Daniel Jones, but you'll have like an Evan Ingram who was misused, and he went on and had a really good post career with Jacksonville and Denver. And then, Saquon, obviously, even Leonard Williams, Dalvin Tomlinson is still playing at a high level. Like, I don't know what his situation was, but so there's definitely players that like leave the Giants as veterans and do well. And you're like, yeah, like that's rare, dudes. Like that's rare. It's like, you don't go like what AJ Brown went to the Eagles. And I mean, yeah, he did. But like AJ Brown now, he's like a dud now, right? Like a couple of years on the Eagles. I'm just trying to think of names. But Daniel Jones, yeah, I mean, like good system, great O-line. There were times watching Daniel Jones where I'm like, that's complete. Like before, like knowing that he had, say, 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket, which is a lot of time. But like when he had that and he like delivered a strike, I had the utmost confidence when he had that time and that little, poise in the pocket to make that pass. And that's what he's getting all the time now. And he has Saquon Barkley, right? And he has a great offensive line. I'm saying, Jonathan Taylor. Like
Saquon. Jonathan Taylor, yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was having a Saquon type season.
Yeah.
That's for sure. He's kicking some butt.
Yeah, great O-line.
No. Yep. No, and it makes a whole difference, right? And so I know as a Giants fan, it's probably really frustrating seeing, some guys succeed just like you talked about over there, but he probably wouldn't had that same success with, your offensive line and, especially after Neighbors gets hurt and stuff like that.
Yeah, no way.
That's where Jackson Dart has kind of impressed me. Just him making a
Yep.
lot out of a little. So,
Yep.
I mean, if I were you, it's definitely, you got something to be excited for next year. He
Totally.
just has to change a little bit of his game,
Totally. They have to coach him to what to right to his skills. And if we're going to start talking about this, we got to address the defense. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm saying, like in free agency or in the draft, it's going to be heavy defense for the Giants. Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy. Like we talked about, with so much invested in the line, and you still gotta, because that would be the strong building block.
Thanks.
But
Yeah.
It's been it's
Well, listen, I don't know what I haven't really looked into draft or if there's any like like a slam dunk corners or safeties out there, but who gets drafted in the top 5? QBs, great like DNs, and maybe a corner. You know what I mean? A top receiver, top like running back, or a corner. Those are the really only guys that get drafted in the top 5. You're not drafting safeties in the top 5. You're not drafting like interior D linemen or pretty much no old linemen unless there's like some stud tackle. So that happens. Stud tackles happen. So if Giants have the 2nd or 3rd pick, there's a lot to be said for trading for a haul. There's a lot to be said for trading down, stacking some picks, either the late first, early, like you can get a nice haul for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th overall pick, and then stack your D. We've said this
There's
every
some decent
year.
linebackers and safeties that would be
Is there?
available
Yeah,
later.
okay.
Like, 10 through 15. And then you're right. Then you're stacking picks on top of that.
Okay, yeah. So I don't really know of that yet. But like these are just the things that I'm kind of brainstorming every year because now we have a top 5 pick every year. I'm like, all right, like, well, can we trade this for a haul? Does it make sense? Does it make sense to trade down? Does it make sense to trade down? So we haven't really done it yet out of that top spot. We traded up for Dart, but we still drafted our top pick last year.
Yep.
And then the Thibodeau and Evan Neal draft, we had 3 and 5, and doesn't seem to be like that worked out too well. So we, there's a lot to be said for stacking, getting 2 or 3 2nd or 3rd round picks on top of your regular draft, especially when you're
a lot of times they're lottery picks. I mean, they're just
starting from the bottom,
just lottery tickets, and you're hoping that you get the more picks you have, the better.
Not in the 2nd or 3rd round, though. 2nd or 3rd round, you're getting legit pros that.
Oh, I know.
So
you get them, but there's still lottery. I mean, there's first rounders that don't do jack.
Yeah.
So sometimes just the more picks you get, the better off you get.
Yes.
So
yes. Especially when you finish the season.
Before we head out, I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know 2 things. I want to know: is there any players on the team that that aren't well-known names that the Lions fans should be looking for? And at this point in the season, after you've got 2 wins, what are you personally as a fan looking to see the rest of the season?
Our secondary has and is. I mean, our defense has been exploited pretty bad. I can't say, oh, I'm looking for things on the offense when we're missing our starting running back, starting quarterback, starting best wide receiver. So like, it's very, very difficult to do that. But look at your young secondary because it's been exploited. This guy, believe it or not, like if there is any chance for us to pull off some freaking miracle, he's gonna be have a lot to say about it, Dexter. Because he's, a run stopper. I don't expect Jared Goff to throw much. I believe it's going to be a Gibbs Montgomery game and sprinkle in some Laporta. So let's see what we can do against the secondary. I don't think it's going to be a great test of it because I think you're just going to beat us on the ground mostly. That's that. And what was the other question?
I was just wondering if there's any players on this team that, that we don't, like as Lions fans, that we're not aware of that you're looking at that's an up and comer. Or...
Oh, I wish I could say we're not going to lose by 30. And it's not going to matter whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. The best player on our defense is, Burns is a unique player, but like Bobby Okereke leads is in the top in tackles every year. He is a unfortunate like Pro Bowler that's going to be lost on this team for the next. We're wasting his prime or the end of his prime. So as far as like another like run stopper and a guy that you can like look and I don't know how like no one can catch Jahmyr Gibbs, but if anyone can bounce outside with him, maybe Okereke can keep him honest, trying to get to the outside. Look at the corners. Look at Phillips has been having a hot and cold season. I don't know who he would lock down. I don't think he would play Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra doesn't really play on the outside, right? That's going to be Williams more.
J-Mo plays well. Amon-Ra will play outside. He plays about 50% of there,
Does he?
And then the rest in the snap.
Yeah.
In the slot. It just depends on especially if we go heavy, then it's they're both on the outside.
Gotcha. I mean, there's just so many ways. You guys could beat us. It's gonna be. But man, I think Campbell's gonna have a really good time. But we said the same thing going into the Eagles game. So
yeah. No. Yep. All right, Jacob. You got anything else?
No, man. I'm good. Appreciate you coming out with us.
What's your guys' prediction? I mean, you seem to be pessimistic fans, but come on.
No. Jacob doesn't give predictions because he is so superstitious.
I'm superstitious. I think I don't make actual predictions as far as score, wins, losses. As far as wins, losses, and stuff like that, I don't. If I had to put a prediction out there, I don't mind saying that I think that Gibbs and Montgomery are going to have a good game.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have success running the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, actual predictions like win, loss, and scores, I don't do that. I feel like that's bad karma I'm putting out there. What do you got, Jason? What do you think?
With looking at how bad you guys are in the run defense department, that just tells me all I need to know. However, Dexter Lawrence does concern me because we have been struggling up the middle, and if he decides to wake up and you get your defensive line going, the thing that would scare me is if we can't play from ahead, because I don't like Burns being able to rush the passer.
Right.
We struggled against the Eagles last week. Mostly because of their defensive line and how well they played.
True.
So that would be my concern. However, your run defense and the way that the Lions want to play, and this may go into why you said, going with the under, because if we're going to just run the ball, that's going to keep the clock going, and that's why I suspect that you going with the under on that one. But we'll see. Lions defense is really good. I don't, now. I think whoever the quarterback is, I'm hoping for some turnovers. Well, Jameson's back there.
Jameis Winston threw a turnover last week. We think it might have been Hyatt's fault. I haven't really looked into deep and on whose fault it was. So he broke off the route. Threw one pick. However, they dropped 5 picks. So it is
I know.
Scary.
Yeah.
Under first half under full game under, Lions by 25, all that great stuff. I do feel like it could get out of hand towards the end. And Lions Gibbs can all of a sudden he breaks a 60-yarder, stuff like that. I feel like that happens all the time against explosive offenses. It might be a first half under where weird things happen. We're playing with a little pep in the beginning, but these things tend to get out of hand.
Have you noticed anything different with the, with Daboll out? I know it was one game, but did you?
Well, it's a whole. New quarterback and a new coach who was the offensive, offensive coordinator, so the play caller. So no, it's a feeble it's a feeble offense. So you're not you can't have too big of a difference.
Yeah.
Opening drive, good drives. Opening drive was a touchdown. There's good drives to be had. It's just there's not a good enough football team, and that's just all it is. So you have to put together that Eagles game. I don't even. I have to go back and look at that because I was at that game, so having a good time, not really paying attention to every drive and every play, but everything you see, you're all right. They're just better, and they when last week when we lose by 7 and the line is 7.5. All right, that's what it is. These are what these teams are. And I think that 10.5 is pretty good. I mean, it could. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes out to 12, 13.5. I think it's a 2 touchdown game. Does anyone disagree with that? These are the teams that we're it's pretty obvious. The Eagle game was crazy, but everything else right now has been dialed back to what's it called? The reverting to the mean of what we are here.
Going back to the average. All right, Mike. Anything that you wanna that you're putting out there, creator content wise?
We got a bunch of good interviews coming up. We're gonna do some on my social. Really, I'm actually trying to figure out a Super Bowl trip to do Radio Row, do content on red carpets and Super Bowl is always, you guys, if you can ever get a chance, I mean, obviously if Detroit goes, but if you ever get a chance to go out there just for the week, not even go to the game. I have 3 kids. I go to Super Bowl for 3 days. I come home on Saturday. You don't even.
Yeah, okay.
But it's great content. It's great content. It's so much fun. Cool people all around. Plenty of events to get to that are, not crazy expensive or anything like that, but really like it's a bucket list trip to do to get out to a Super Bowl. This one's in San Francisco. I'd never been. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I appreciate, the time you've given us, and I hope you're not too happy on Sunday. I hope that I'm cheering my head off. And
spoiler,
either way.
spoiler. That's all we can do. That's all we can play.
All right, Mike Vivalo from Team Vivalo. You can find him on Twitter. We're going to link everything in the description. All right, Jacob, we're back. It's time to get down to it. Keys to victory. I have a feeling that you and I are going to have the same one for our main one, but I'm going to let you go first. I'll give you all the glory here.
All right. My first one is kind of a broad one, but this is what I want out of this game. I want to make them lose their identity. Do not allow them to find themselves in this game. So it's Ford Field. It's going to be loud. We're coming off of a loss. And, it feels like, and most of the team feels like it was our fault. They just didn't execute, right? We could have got it done, but we didn't. So we need to put it on these guys early and don't let up, right? Their head coach is gone. The season's a wash for them. They have nothing to lose, especially, we don't know if Jackson Dart is going to play. If he does play, then he's just going for broke every time. If it's Jameis Winston, Jameis definitely has nothing to lose. He's just going to be dishing out the football, but we just don't need to give them any chance, right? If this team goes down by multiple scores, they're going to crack and they're going to just wait for this game to be over with. They're on the cusp of cracking now and the kickoff hasn't happened. But if you let them stick around, if you let them start to believe in themselves, if they start smelling upset and get a sense of purpose again, that's when we're going to have trouble. And we've already mentioned that we have a shorter week coming up. We've got a huge game against the Packers. We don't want to overlook this team, but we want to bury them early, right? Get ahead, stay ahead, make them quit. And don't do what the Packers did and make, need a fourth quarter comeback and make them, hang around any longer than they need to.
I like it. And there's the best way to take someone's will is to just pound the ball down their throat. So that's my key to victory. You give it to Gibbs and you give it to Monty. We've already talked about their run defense. So poor. Talk about a get right game with your run game, get your offensive identity back. Just give it to them. And hopefully Gibbs just, we're wearing the black jerseys. He always plays well in the black jerseys. I know it's usually on a Monday night. Just tell him it's Monday night. You wake up, Gibbs, it's Monday night. Just do your thing. And that's what I want to see. But frankly, I also want to see Monty just pound the ball too. We haven't seen that enough. And honestly, looking back on the Eagles game, I really feel like we could have used Monty more just in that game. He's, they both can run between the tackles, but Monty is a little more patient and will let blocks develop a little bit more. And I just think that was a better setup for that game, especially with the aggressiveness of the Eagles defense to get towards the quarterback. We could have utilized that more. So I want to see a good game for Monty, but I also think Gibbs could just break this thing open.
Yeah. I mean, that's on their mind too, just, running the football. And that's just particularly, they have a really good defensive line, but they're good because they're trying to crash in. They're trying to get after the quarterback. And their linebackers and their safeties are not great in run coverage. And if you let Gibbs break through that line, he's going to be able to break one off. Him or David Montgomery are going to be able to get, 15, 20-yard run, especially if Demo gets some of those angry runs going like that. I mean, he's not going to go down quick to a linebacker. So I had that on my list as well. But the other one was just protecting Goff. We don't necessarily need Goff to throw for 300 yards in this one. But like we said, the line can get after the quarterback. So we need to make sure our offensive line is all on the same page. Make sure Goff is reading these and calling these right protections. We can't afford a strip sack or a tipped interception or anything to keep them close and keep them on the short field. Just protect him and keep a clean game from the line.
Yep. So I want my last one. I have some general wishes for this game, which is I generally don't do, which I'll do next. But this one here is I want to create obvious passing situations for the Giants because their quarterback will, regardless if it's Jackson or Jameis, they will turn it over. And that, like Jacob just said, we don't want our offense to do. We want to create let's create some short fields for our offense and just, bury them early. And like Jacob said, just do that. And then we could maybe, sub in some of our offensive line, give them off their feet for that short week that they got to play on Thursday. So I'd love to just be able to just create some obvious passing situations. You got anything else, Jacob?
Nope, I'm good with my keys.
All right. So I got one general wish and then one stat to look out for. So my general wish is, and this one is, try to establish a connection with Raymond or Tesla in this game. Like, we need another option, especially with Laporta being out. And if this is the game where we're going to hopefully treat it as a get right game, I want to see someone else get some passes. We saw Raymond get a lot in the Commanders game, and I don't know why we just ignored him in the Eagles game. I want to be able to see another outlet. Get those guys the ball. They both, Tesla and Raymond, can make people miss, and I just want to see that. The other thing I want you to look out for is the Giants are the second most penalized team in the NFL. They have a lot of false starts. They are second most in the league in DPIs. So, put the ball up, let's get a DPI. Lions don't get a lot of those. I want to see one in this game. Let's do that. So, Jacob, this is totally unrelated to the Giants being the most penalized team, but I found this stat when I was looking up penalties. Hip drop tackle, right? Like, that was a huge thing that we talked about. How many times do you think that's been penalized this year total in the NFL?
I have seen instances of it happening, but I can't right now think of a time where I remember a flag being thrown for it. I've still seen it happening, but I don't remember any flags. So it's got to be pretty low, correct?
It is low.
I'll say 4.
Two times this year.
How many
times do you think it was? Huh?
Do you have how many fines? How many people have been fined for it? Or no?
I have not seen the fines. I just looked up the actual flags for it.
Gotcha.
How many times do you think a flag was thrown last year? Because last year was the first year of it, right? How many flags do you think was thrown last year?
6.
1 flag last year. So it's been flagged 3 times. I was shocked by that because I was expecting more last year just because it was new, but it has not stopped it because we see people getting injured and everything. I was expecting more flags, especially last year, but I just thought that was interesting.
Right. Yeah, they're
Nothing
not
really to
calling
do
it,
with
but
this
they
game.
are fining players for it.
Yeah. I think some of those, I honestly, those players will take the fine because they're going to try to get that guy down. I mean, it's the flag that would stop you from doing it because that gives the guy the automatic first down, right? So personal foul penalty. But all right, Jacob, roar alert. I'm going to let you go first. This is the line that we think is going to make some noise. Who do you got?
You almost stole my thunder on this one, too, because you talked about him earlier. But for my roar alert, I'm going to go with David Montgomery.
Okay.
He's been kind of quiet. That's also been because his carries have been kind of limited. So I think he sees a few more touches in this one, and I think he's going to make his presence known. I don't know if that's going to be a touchdown or if he's going to run somebody over or something like that, but David Montgomery will do something noteworthy.
Nice. I'm going with Gibbs. So running back combo. I like it. They both can have good games. We both can be right here. Hopefully Gibbs gets an explosive play. Hopefully they both get touchdowns and break that record. That'd be really nice.
That would be, right.
That'd be awesome. So yeah, I'm going with Gibbs. You go with Monty. I like that combo. The grit guarantee. This, for me, I'll go first on this one. Lions get 2+ turnovers. So we're going to get at least 2, maybe more in this game. That's what I'm shooting for.
Hey, I'm digging it. My grit guarantee this week is that the Lions will score a 60+ yard touchdown.
Whoa.
Could be offense, defense, special teams. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we are going to score a big one in this game. Somebody's breaking one open here.
Man. Well, that'd be super exciting. I'll be there at the game. Hopefully it's down towards my end zone. That'd be even more exciting. Either way, I'll be screaming, but it'd be awesome if he's running towards me. I'd like that. So, oh man, so many possibilities. Could be Gibbs, could be JMO. What if Goff just takes off? What would be the odds on that, Jacob? A 60-yard run from Goff? Would it be even possible?
I don't even think that Vegas would give you odds for that one. It's too high.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those you put in like a penny and you get like $1 million.
Right. Plus 50,000.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's gotta be insane on that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good game. I know you don't do predictions. I feel comfortable going into this game. However, both the Bears and Packers that are ahead of us in this division struggled with the Giants. So we'll see how it goes. It's in Ford Field. We lost the last game. We know how the Lions do after a loss. Like, I feel comfortable going to this game. It'll be fun. But I think the bigger worry, and the Lions aren't worried about this, but I am, is just the short turnaround to the Packers, right? We don't want to risk any of these injured players that we talked about getting worse going into that game.
Absolutely. It's a big concern. So we'll see. We're going to be monitoring everybody's situation during the game as well.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So 1:00 game. I think we got Vilma again, from what I heard. So make sure your volume's down low, Jacob.
You already know. I said I don't need much out of them, so you could maybe say
I
the
know.
right player's name at least, but he did better
We'll
last
see.
time.
I mean, I know. Well, last time he was there. They had a special guest. The president's in there. I don't think President Trump's coming to this game. Not going to make his way to Detroit, so we don't have to, have that to think about. So we'll see. But Vilma, Kenny Albert, just get stuck with them 1:00 game. Just unfortunately.
It's all good.
Yep. All right, Jacob. Anything else before we take off here?
Nope, I'm ready, man.
All right, man. I'm ready to get back into winning football. Get this bad taste of this Eagles game out of our mouth. Got the black jerseys. We're gonna feel really good on Sunday. Get the game over early too, right? So we don't have to wait all day, and then we can enjoy football for the rest of the Sunday.
Right. That's the plan.
That is it.
Hopefully,
All
no
right,
more
Jacob.
surgeries I'm not aware of on this Sunday.
I hope not. So, you had that, and then my wife hit a deer on Saturday. So it was,
Oh yeah.
and the Lions lost. Like, get all the bad crap
Move on
on
from that weekend.
one day. Yeah, exactly. Bad weekend all the way around. So my wife is fine. My son's fine. They were in the car. In case anyone's worried, they're totally fine. The car is drivable, but it shows a little bit of the deer's butt. It left a little bit of hair on the car too. So yeah, fun. It's the way that it's like driving in Michigan after dark in the winter.
True that.
All right, Jacob. It's gonna be a good game. And we'll say it loud and proud. Go Lions!